Legacy Chapter 36, Special Chapter, A True God Rises. What is a god? Is it a being that is immortal? If that is true, you might say a certain type jellyfish might be considered a god as it has the potential for immortality. Is it a being that knows everything? If that's so, then the Yamanaka could be considered gods as they have the ability to read thoughts and control another's actions. Is it a being that can give and take life as he pleases? If so, then Pain might be considered a god as he can give life to those recently departed. Is someone that can be at all places at once? Then Naruto could be considered a god with shadow clones and Hiraishin. There are different religions through the world, but in ours a god is considered someone who can be everywhere, omnipresent, know everything including people's thoughts, omniscient, and someone who is all-powerful. With this three requisites, the god can do anything he wishes. And now, Naruto is about to achieve just that. Land of Iron. 2 years had passed since Naruto, Gaara and Jiraiya had left Konoha in their training trip. Hyuga Hinata had also recently joined them since she had finished her training with Senju Tsunade earlier. Hinata was a true prodigy in medicine but also in combat. Armed with her Byakugan eyes, she could instantly diagnose any type of injury or disease anyone carried. Her eyes seemed to improve her chakra control beyond normal standard of ordinary shinobi. Her chakra control and reserves were on par with Tsunade, as was her knowledge of medical techniques and Tsunade's monstrous strength. She also received the slug contract from Tsunade as she had no one to pass it to, thus making Hinata Tsunade's heir and apprentice. Hinata had also surpassed both Anko and Shizune in poison making. Not much of a surprise when you grow up leaving with a guinea pig in which you can test out all of your poisons. And the fact the guinea pig didn't die from them was just a plus. Naruto thanked the heavens when he noticed that Hinata remained the sweet and caring girl even after training with Anko. Naruto shivered at the thought of living with a Hinata, Anko style. Considering Naruto and Gaara, they both advanced with Jiraiya as their teacher. While Naruto could best Jiraiya any time in terms of raw power, he didn't have yet the finesse in other areas. That's why they would sometimes take on a few missions so that they could gain valuable experience. Currently it's almost dawn and we find Naruto of 16 years old, almost 17, walking to their hotel after another of training day. "I'm home," Naruto said with a tired and strained voice. Hinata looked up from her notes. The first thing you would notice about Hinata's changes would be the purple diamond figure in the middle of her forehead. Hinata had grown into a very beautiful woman. She was around 5 feet 7 inches, with a slim figure worthy of a goddess. She had long and toned legs, smooth skin and a well-developed chest, around D-cup in size. Hinata had retained her straight, Heim-style haircut, but she let her hair grow to waist length. The short strands that frame her face remained, but were now shoulder length. She now wore a new attire comprised of a loose-fitting, long-sleeved, dark blue and white zip-up jacket with dark blue over-mesh armor with black pants and black, low-heeled sandals. On the back of her zip-up jacket she had the symbol for yin and yang. A/N, check profile for picture. "Are you feeling well, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked, worried. While Naruto didn't show any external signs of a disease, she was a trained medic and easily spotted his slight discomfort. "Is something wrong?" Jiraiya asked him, making Gaara look at Naruto concerned. "I don't really know," Naruto said, flexing his body. "My chakra feels weird," Naruto stated as he released a small amount. His chakra seemed to be unstable and uncontrollable at this point. "Let me take a look," Hinata said and activated her Byakugan. She was surprised when she saw Naruto's chakra acting up. It was like the chakra had a mind of his own and was all over the place in his body. It seemed to be affecting his muscles, bones, but it seemed more concentrated around his eyes. "You are right, your chakra is acting weird. Lie down so I can properly check, Hinata stated, and Naruto sighed. I don't fee dash, Naruto was saying but didn't manage to finish as he simply fell to the ground completely unconscious. It was extremely rare for anyone to simply drop to the ground while talking. Naruto, all of them yelled and rushed to check up on him. Hinata was the first to arrive and was already performing a diagnosis with her eyes trying to find what was wrong. She didn't understand, his chakra network was extremely active, too active for someone who had just passed out. His chakra seemed to be changing and rewriting his chakra coils. Get back, Hinata yelled and everyone jumped back just in time to avoid a small shockwave of chakra that radiated from his body. His once deep blue chakra was now light silver, like the moon. His chakra capacity seemed to be increasing as this new chakra seemed thicker than his old one. His chakra felt so peaceful and yet strong, so unrestrained and yet controlled. Eventually the chakra calmed down and everyone let out a sigh of relief. Naruto groaned as he slowly regained his conscience, but he felt somewhat stiff. Hinata could see his new chakra working overtime in his muscles. He slowly opened his eyes and everyone's breath hitched. His once blue eyes, or red one if was using the Sharingan, now had a ripple pattern in them. His eyes were silver with several concentric circles around his pupil, who seemed to have shrunk. Naruto's eyes had shifted into the Rinnegan, the eyes of the gods. The eyes of the Sage of the Six Paths, the father of all ninjutsu. Father. Kurama/Shikaku whispered from their host's mindscape. There will come a time when all of you will be lead down the right path. Kurama remembered the last words of his father just as he passed away. Is it Naruto? Kurama thought looking at the fainted form of Naruto. That's the... Hinata thought to herself as she gazed upon the new eyes of Naruto. Rinnegan, Jiraiya thought gobsmacked. It's true that he had seen them before but he never saw one activating itself in front of him. Naruto groggily opened his eyes only to pass out again. Hinata approached him and did a quick checkup only to notice that he was only sleeping but he seemed to be running with a small fever. She took him to their bedroom. Please be alright. Hinata whispered clutching to his arm as she fell asleep next to him. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto woke up in his mindscape with Kurama looking at him curiously. Kurama was still trying to figure out how in the world would Naruto be able to awaken the Rinnegan. The eyes of his father, how Naruto did that he couldn't even start to understand. In the other hand, the Sage of the Six Paths always talked in riddles when addressing the 9 Bijou. Kurama, what happened? Naruto asked as he groggily got up. His head seemed to be on fire, forget that, his all body seemed to on fire. Although it didn't hurt, it felt somewhat annoying. Tisk, Kurama scoffed, do you even know what you just unlocked? Kurama asked and sighed at the oblivious face of Naruto. That's why I asked for a ball. The last thing I remind is talking to Hinata-chan, Naruto explained with a tick mark on his eyes. You just unlocked the Rinnegan. My father's eyes, Kurama yelled and Naruto's jaw dropped. He blinked, and blinked again as his brain rebooted and he processed the words he just heard. He quickly approached a nearby lake that he had created when he changed his mindscape to a more comfortable place. He immediately noticed his eyes. Instead of the traditional deep blue or blood red, they were now a dark silver with concentric circles around his pupil. He looked around and noticed that he could see chakra to a whole different level. While not in a detail that would rival with the Byakugan, he seemed to be able to see chakra everywhere. Kurama had red chakra while everything around him had a dark silver tone. Naruto withdrew chakra from his eyes and noticed how it receded back to his usual Manjikyu, then to his Sharingan until it stopped in his deep blue eyes. Naruto had unlocked the next level of his eyes. The final level of the Sharingan, the Rinnegan. The eyes of the gods that belonged to the Rikudo Sennin, father to all shinobi. The most revered Dojutsu in all existence. Of three great eyes, the Rinnegan was the most prized and powerful. On another perspective, the Rinnegan appeared to be the natural evolution to the Sharingan and, as such, it was only supposed to be two great Dojutsus. Though Naruto wondered why never any Uchiha had unlocked it before. My eyes keep changing. The moment I've mastered my Menjikyu another one pops out, Naruto said sighing. Although he was very glad for this power boost. Ungrateful brat. Many people would kill just so they could put their hands on those eyes, Kurama reprimanded the boy. I know, Naruto said waving his hands in defeat, so Naruto started in a sing-sang voice as his eyes instantly flashed into the Rinnegan. What can these eyes do? Naruto asked Giddy. Why would I know? Kurama replied. You said that these eyes belonged to your father, Naruto said in a deadpan voice. Yes I did, but that doesn't mean I ever saw him training them, Kurama said sighing. I know a couple of powers but the rest are unknown to me, Kurama explained and Naruto nodded. I only know that it gives you control over all the elements, the Deva path and Preta path, Kurama said and Naruto was drooling. Just the prospect of having natural affinities for all elements was good enough for him. Paths? Naruto asked confused. Yes. The Deva path allows you to control gravity and the Preta path allows you to absorb chakra, Kurama explained and Naruto's jaw dropped. His eyes were the best thing it had ever happened to him. You said there were more? Naruto asked Giddy to know the rest. It's best that I don't tell him about summoning the Gedomazo. I hope he never learns about it. Some things are best locked away for all eternity, Kurama thought to himself before thinking what to answer to Naruto. There are more powers. The reason he was called the Sage of the Six Paths was because he had more of these paths, but I only know of those 2-inch, Kurama said and Naruto nodded. Why did I faint? Naruto asked trying to find some answer. You fool. You think that the Rinnegan is a simple Dojutsu compared to the likes of the Sharingan or Byakugan. You think that just because your eyes change, you suddenly can use all 5 elemental natures? Kurama rhetorically asked. The awakening of the Rinnegan changes the host's body so they can withstand their power. It's the reason why your chakra is now silver, the reason as to, right now, your muscles are being rebuilt to be stronger than anyone else's, Kurama explained and Naruto took the information like a sponge. I understand, but why did it activate so suddenly? Naruto rhetorically asked. I did nothing out of the ordinary today, Naruto stated, but Kurama was deep in thought. You should check the Hyuga's and Uchiha's clan libraries. They might have information regarding it as both clans are Dojutsu wielders. As of now I might have a theory, Kurama said and Naruto motioned him to go on. As you know, my father had 2 sons, each one inheriting a piece of his power. The older brother, Ken, started the Uchiha clan while the younger one, Shin, started the Senju clan, Kurama started. Both Uchiha Ken and Senju Shin had descendants through the ages, disregarding the half-blood Uchihas, coming down until the last of each clan. Both your mother, Senju Kushina, and your father, Uchiha Minato, were the last of each other's clans. You achieving the Rinnegan might come from the fact that both the Senju and Uchiha's blood are together in you. Were it once divided in my father, it came together in you, Kurama explained. It's ironic in fact, Kurama said chuckling, both clans started with my father and they seem to end with you. With Tsunade being past reproducing age, you are the last of both Senju and the Uchiha clan, the last descent of the Sage of 6 Paths, the last leaf of a once mighty tree, Kurama said in a sad voice. If I ever have any kids, do you think they will inherit my Rinnegan or will my power be split between them? Naruto curiously asked. It's a good question, though only time will tell. Even though I'm sad to see my father's line reduced to a single member, at least the last member bears the same eyes as the original. Like I said, it's ironic. It feels like everything was meant to end with you, as both clans are extinct and the last member bears the Rinnegan, Kurama said, chuckling sadly. I guess, Naruto muttered, but you still didn't answer my question as to why it suddenly activated, Naruto stated, and Kurama got deep in thought. Building on the premise that the Rinnegan is achieved with both Senju and Uchiha blood, it's possible that could only be achieved once your body had fully matured. Moments earlier before you fainted I noticed that your yin and yang chakra seemed to be in perfect balance with each other, Kurama said. Look at it this way. Your body was too young to match the power of your soul. What I mean is that your yang chakra was weaker than your yin due to the fact that your body was still developing. Today must have marked the point where both energies balanced each other out to perfection, thus leading to the activation of your eyes, Kurama explained, and Naruto nodded, taking everything in. How do you come up with all this stuff? Naruto asked, surprised the fox's knowledge and reasoning. I'm just that good, Kurama boasted, puffing his chest out, making Naruto stare at him. Get going, your mate needs you, Kurama said, and Naruto left this mindscape. Naruto and Hinata's room. Naruto returned from his mindscape and found himself lying in his bed. He looked outside and the moon was shining in the sky. He looked down to see Hinata asleep next him, clutching his arm furiously. Naruto brushed a few strands of her hair to the side so he could gaze upon her beautiful and angelic face. It was then that he noticed dried tears in her cheeks. Hinata-chan, Naruto whispered gently, running his hands through her soft cheeks. He bent down and placed a small kiss on her forehead, making her stir. She slowly opened her eyes, adjusting to the small light of the room, and noticed Naruto awake and staring deeply into her eyes. Naruto-kun, Hinata choked out and hugged him fiercely while crying. I was worried about you when you fainted like that, Hinata said, and Naruto simply hugged her, showing that he wasn't going anywhere. You know me, Naruto said, breaking the hug. He brought his forehead to hers and locked eyes with her. I don't stay down for long, Naruto said, looking at her with caring eyes filled with love. I talked with Kurama. It was just a byproduct of my Rinnegan activating. I'm not going anywhere soon. I'm staying with you forever, Naruto whispered and gently closed the gap between them. Their lips brushed together at first until they locked in a deep, passionate kiss. All the while, Naruto was caressing her face, feeling her smooth, flawless skin. Hello, Oazid here. The next part of this story is a bit too spicy for YouTube, but if you want to read it for yourself, go right ahead. The link to the original story is in the description. So, cut is short, they just had some late night fun in this part of the story, but that being said, let's get back into the story. Hope you enjoy the other parts too. Next morning, within the dark room, a few beams of light managed to sneak through the windows and managed to hit Senju Naruto. Naruto started stirring. He felt he didn't get much sleep last night, and he knew the reason when the memories came rushing into him. He looked down to see his princess clinging to him with a happy smile on her face. Naruto smiled and began to gently run his hands through her soft hair. No matter how messy it was for last night's activities, she remained beautiful. Her hair was so soft and silky, he just loved feeling her hair. Hinata began to stir as she felt someone gently stroking her hair. She instantly knew it was Naruto. She simply snuggled closer to him and sighed happily. Morning, beautiful, Naruto whispered, kissing her forehead. Good morning, Naruto-kun, Hinata replied, sighing blissfully. Good night? Naruto innocently asked, making Hinata giggle. Best night of my life, Hinata replied, drawing circles in his chest. After all, they were both still naked, and Naruto did enjoy having her breasts pressing against his chest. I'm glad, Naruto said, and both fell into a comfortable silence, enjoying the warm feeling they got from being together. Naruto-kun, Hinata called out and Naruto hummed in response. Please tell me you placed some silent seals, Hinata said blushing. Why do you ask? Naruto asked teasingly. I was a bit loud last night, Hinata mumbled beneath her breaths, making Naruto chuckle. That was the most beautiful sound I've ever heard, and it's reserved to me, so don't worry, Naruto replied, and Hinata nodded. She really didn't want to deal with Jiraiya if he found out they shared more than a bed last night. Oh shit! Naruto thought when he heard snickering inside his mind. Naruto paled when he recognized the voice. He forgot to cut Kurama's connection last night. I'm so proud of you, my boy, Kurama yelled from within his mind. Please tell me you didn't watch, Naruto asked. I did more than watch, I recorded it, Kurama replied, grinning like a fox. Why would you do that? You don't even have a gender, how could you even get turned on? Naruto asked, confused. While Kurama had a male personality, he really didn't have any of the organs to back it up. Kurama was a bijou, he didn't organs or bones or flesh, he was just chakra with a mind. So, it's teasing material, Kurama replied, and Naruto's sweat dropped. You okay, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked as she watched Naruto space out. Yeah, I forgot to cut Kurama off, so we did have an audience, Naruto said, rubbing the back of head, and Hinata blushed, but she didn't want to think of that right now. You know, Naruto started, Jiraiya and Gaara are probably worried about us. We have been here since last night and it's already noon, Naruto said, and Hinata pouted. 5 more minutes, Hinata pouted, making her best puppy dog face. How about we go take a shower? Naruto simply asked. Tita together? Hinata asked, blushing. Naruto just looked at her, he didn't think of that when he asked. Naruto got an evil glint of his eyes. What are you implying, princess? Naruto asked in a teasing voice. No, nothing, Hinata stuttered, and Naruto chuckled. He pushed the sheets away from them and picked up Hinata from her bed, carrying her bridal style into the bathroom. When they were finished, they could both say it was the best shower they ever had. Outside, Jiraiya and Gaara were running through taijutsu katas trying to improve Gaara's taijutsu when they heard the door unlock. They stopped their training to see Naruto and Hinata walking out together. Naruto seemed fine, as if nothing had happened. How are you feeling, Naruto? Jiraiya asked, but Naruto waved him off as he sat down to eat something. It's nothing. Everything that happened was because of my Rinnegan activating, I'm fine. Naruto replied, and Jiraiya sighed in relief and turned to Hinata, who seemed to humming a tune while eating some bread. I'm so proud of you, Jiraiya yelled and started dancing around the table like a headless chicken. He's mental, Naruto thought as he looked at his godfather. You finally became a man, Jiraiya said, crying anime tears. Gaara choked on his food, Hinata dropped her bread, and Naruto splashed water all over the table. What? Naruto asked, getting up from the table. Don't try denying it, kid, Jiraiya said, crossing his arms. I know that glow when I see it, Jiraiya said, pointing to Hinata, who was blushing and looking away. Have you ever heard of privacy? Naruto asked, yelling at his godfather. So, tell me, Jiraiya started, licking the tip of his pen and taking out a notebook. How was she? Jiraiya asked, and the temperature dropped several degrees. Even Gaara backed away with Shikaku telling him to run for his life. I thought you stopped being a pervert, Jiraiya-sama? Hinata sweetly asked. Jiraiya turned around, dropping his notebook and crying for mercy. Hinata punched him the face so hard that even the ground shook. Jiraiya was sent flying out of the hotel and crashing into the ground, making a decent crater. I forgot Bachan taught Hinata-chan her super strength, Naruto thought to himself, and agreeing to never piss her off. Training grounds. All 4 of them ate their breakfast and came outside to train again. However, once they all got outside, they stopped and stared at Naruto as if waiting for something. "Let's see it," Jiraiya said, and Naruto's sweat dropped and channeled chakra into his eyes. Everyone watched in fascination as Naruto's eyes became red with 3 black tomos, then they started spinning until they became his eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. Then it stopped. Naruto channeled more chakra into his eyes and they pulsed with a silver color. His eyes started spinning outwards, shrinking his pupil and forming several rings around the pupil. "I still don't believe I get to see another one," Jiraiya said, getting interested by Naruto's eyes. "They seem to be radiating power." "Wait," Naruto said, stopping Jiraiya in his tracks. "Another one?" Naruto asked, surprised that Jiraiya had already seen another. "Yes. During the Second Shinobi War back in Amigakure no Sato, Hidden Rain Village, I met 3 orphans from the war. One of them was called Uzumaki Nagato and he had the Rinnegan. It was the reason why I stayed behind 3 years to teach them," Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded. "Where's he now?" Naruto asked, getting curious. If what Kurama said was true, then there was a lost Senju and Uchiha member. "Dead," Jiraiya sadly said. "I got a report that they didn't survive the war despite my training," Jiraiya explained, sighing, and Naruto nodded. According to Kurama, the Rinnegan is achieved by having both Senju and Uchiha blood in one vessel, Naruto said, and Hinata raised an eyebrow. "It makes sense," Hinata started. "From the legends it says that the Sage of the 6 Paths had 2 sons, each starting the Senju and Uchiha clans. It makes sense that uniting both bloods you get the original," Hinata explained, taking into account everything she learned about biology. "Although yours is different," Jiraiya said, brining his hands to his chin. Nagato's Rinnegan was permanently activated. He was never able to disable him, much less go through the Sharingan and Manjikyu stages, Jiraiya said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow in confusion. "Strange, usually when you can't fully disable a Dojutsu it means that it doesn't belong to the user to begin with. Like Kakashi's Sharingan," Naruto explained, but Jiraiya stopped him. "Are you saying someone took his eyes out and gave him the Rinnegan?" Jiraiya asked, confused. "I don't know. But if he couldn't deactivate his eyes then they didn't belong to him," Naruto said. "Let's forget it, not to sound cold, but he's dead," Naruto said, and Jiraiya nodded. "Did he even had silver chakra?" Naruto asked, and Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. "My chakra is now silver-colored instead of blue," Naruto said, and started unleashing chakra. Instead of the usual deep blue, ocean-like, colored chakra, his chakra was now silver, like the moon. "No. He had blue chakra like everyone else," Jiraiya said, and Naruto nodded, further sustaining his claim that this Nagato's Rinnegan didn't belong to him. "So, what can those eyes do?" Jiraiya asked. The only thing he knew about those eyes is that it allowed Nagato to see chakra and use all 5 elements. According to Kurama, "I now have affinity to all elements, I can manipulate gravity and absorb chakra. There are a few more but Kurama only knows of those," Naruto explained, and Jiraiya's jaw dropped at the other powers. "Can you show us the gravity manipulation?" Gaara asked, curious. "Sorry, but I don't know how to use it," Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head and making Jiraiya sigh. "Do you have any chakra paper?" Naruto asked, and Jiraiya nodded, taking out a few papers on the storage scrolls. He gave one to Naruto, who channeled chakra through it. Naruto's paper flew off his hand and started to levitate in the air. The paper split into 4 identical pieces, and one burned into ashes, the other crumbled into a tiny ball, another became soggy, and the last one disintegrated into dirt. This proved that Naruto now had affinity for all elements and, judging by the floating paper, affinity for gravity. Analyzing the paper, Naruto was happy that his lightning affinity remained high after his chakra changed. "Looks like you were right," Jiraiya said as he watched the paper react. Let's start with the basics, Jiraiya said and picked up a leaf from a nearby tree and gave it to Naruto. Channel chakra through the leaf until it crumbles to dirt, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto started training his earth element. Later he would move on to his water element since Hinata already knew how to use it. Naruto channeled chakra through the leaf and the poor leaf was instantly vaporized. NNNOO, Naruto yelled to the heavens. What's wrong? Jiraiya asked confused. My chakra control went to hell, I spent so much time working on it, Naruto said, crying anime tears while everyone else sweat dropped at his antics. He had just awakened the most powerful Dojutsu known to mankind, of course there were bound to be some changes. Next day. It was already dark and we could see Naruto and Hinata jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Their objectives were the Uchiha and Hyuga libraries. The Uchiha compound was being guarded by ANBU 24/7 to prevent any theft of jutsus or other information. While the Hyuga clan had their own members guarding it and with their Byakugan it would be hard to sneak in, but Naruto and Hinata had already done it before. Their mission was to find any information they could about the Sage of Six Paths and his Dojutsu, the Rinnegan. They hastily approached the Hyuga clan remaining at a safe distance from their walls so they didn't get caught. A pair of white and another of silver-colored eyes were the only visible thing in the midst of the darkness that covered Konoha during the night. Naruto looked up at the sky to see it cloudless. He could see the endless number of stars shining away in the sky. He also noticed that with his Rinnegan he was able to see a spherical barrier surrounding the entirety of Konoha. He never knew that Konoha housed such sensing barrier around it, but he figured it was a very well-kept secret. Hinata used her Byakugan and analyzed the patterns of the four guards guarding the Hyuga clan's walls. It was a shame that Naruto didn't have his Manjikyu when they last entered this compound, otherwise he could just warp right into the library. Hinata noticed that the guards only used their Byakugans every 5 minutes for a routine check. Once the guards deactivated their eyes, both Naruto and Hinata jumped in front of a Hyuga guard. The last thing he saw was a pair of blood-red eyes. Naruto placed a genjutsu on the guard, making Naruto and Hinata invisible to him. If the other guards found this guard on the ground, it would raise the alarms and that would screw their attempt. Naruto made them invisible as they easily walked up the walls and sneaked into the compound. Naruto had gained most of his chakra control back during the previous day with a couple hundred shadow clones. Interestingly enough, his chakra control became even better than it was before, allowing him to even use genjutsu with ease and making it possible for him, a Jinchuriki, to use some healing techniques. They walked down the walls and Hinata still had her Byakugan activated. Naruto couldn't see through walls so he left that to Hinata. Naruto used his Kamui and phased both through the walls until they reached the library. All of the scrolls were protected so that only the Byakugan could read them, another form of protection against anyone wishing to steal the secrets of the Hyuga clan. Naruto stood by the doors, watching for any stragglers that may pass by while Hinata and a couple of her clones skimmed through the scrolls, diaries, and records. Hinata couldn't believe what she was reading. In the whole library she didn't find anything not Byakugan related, it was Byakugan this and Byakugan that. She didn't find a single reference to any type of elemental jutsu. Hinata shook her head in defeat at her clan's blindness. The last time she was here, they were only coming to the Gentle Fist scrolls, but now that she was reading these scrolls she couldn't believe. They actually thought that the Byakugan was the greatest Dojutsu of all since everything in the library was directly tied to it. They were in for a change when she and Naruto deployed their plan that they have been cooking for years since Hinata's exile for her clan. This is a waste of time, Hinata whispered, placing the scrolls. Her former clan didn't even know the origins of the Byakugan. Anything? Naruto asked in a low voice, but Hinata shook her head. Nothing. Everything is this whole library pertains to the Byakugan. There's nothing about any other Dojutsus, Hinata explained, and Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder and both swirled away from the compound heading to the Uchiha compound next. Uchiha compound. As the Hyuga clan's library had been a bust, Naruto and Hinata moved into the Uchiha compound. Both of them stopped a few yards away from the walls where they could sense 5 ANBU guards in the area. That one is a censor, Naruto said, pointing to dragon-masked Umbu, who was completely still. While both Hinata and Naruto had very high stealth abilities, since they had extremely good chakra control bordering on perfect, not even they could bypass a censor. Censors could pick up even the lightest chakra around them. We have to knock him out, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded. I have just the thing, Hinata said, taking out a single senbon from her storage seals on her wrists. New poison? Naruto asked, chuckling. Yes. It will knock him out for a couple of hours and he won't remember anything that happened, Hinata said, and activated her Byakugan. The censor seemed to have felt her eyes activate but slumped into the ground as the senbon hit him right in the neck. The ANBU never heard a noise, nor he felt anything. The moment the senbon hit his neck, the poison got deployed in the bloodstream, automatically knocking him out. Naruto phased underground and popped out in front of each of the ANBU, placing every one of them in a genjutsu. To the ANBUs, nothing had ever happened and they continued guarding the walls. Naruto and Hinata calmly walked into the compound and made their way into the library. They already knew the layout of the library, so they made their way into the history section. Both of them searched for almost an hour for any type of scroll related to the Rinnegan, until Naruto found one that might answer what he wanted. History of the Sage of the Six Paths. The Sage of the Six Paths, the father of all shinobi in every way of the word. He was the first human to ever be able to manipulate chakra. He was the savior of all humanity when they were faced against an overwhelming enemy. Not much is known about him, but we know that he existed, lived, and died like any other shinobi today. I think we should start as to why he became such a legend. There was once a time in which humanity seemed to live in harmony without wars or hate. But that time was short-lived as, one day, a huge monster appeared out of nowhere, the Jubi, 10 Tails, as it was later on called. This creature created tsunamis, crushed mountains, it split the continents apart. It's believed that today's world layout is a direct result to this creature's work. Nothing could rival its power. Mankind tried to fight but they were squashed like bugs. When all hope seemed lost and mankind seemed to have accepted their fate, a new hope rose. A single man appeared and faced the great Jubi alone. Their battle was fierce and destructive, but, in the end, a single man was able to defeat the Jubi and trap it inside in himself. That man was the Sage of Six Paths. During the remains of his life he traveled the world, spreading the Baninshu doctrine, or ninjutsu as today it's called. When his time came, he knew that once he died the terrifying beast would be unleashed upon the world again and, this time, there wouldn't anyone else to save them from this creature. The sage made a decision that would change this world's fate forever. He split this creature's chakra into 9 different vessels he himself had created. Using the Yin energy he created the bodies of what later on would be called the Biju, tailed beasts, and by adding Yang energy, the sage breathed life into them, making them living beings. Once he split this creature's chakra into the 9 vessels, he created the moon to trap the creature's body inside it, locking it away for all eternity. And so the great monster was defeated and the sage himself passed away. This is the beginning of the story of the greatest hero of our history. The story of the Sage of the Six Paths, the story of the first mortal to achieve powers of a god. Nothing that I already don't know, but I wonder about these Yin and Yang energies, Naruto thought to himself, placing the scroll back in its place and continuing to look around. Naruto continued to look around more until he found another dusty scroll that, by the looks of it, it was very old and not much used. Naruto tried to open it but the scroll didn't budge. Naruto activated his Rinnegan and saw a small seal applied to it. Fuin, Kai, Sealing Jutsu, release, Naruto said, and the seal glowed before it disappeared, opening the scroll. The Sharingan. The Sharingan, one of 3 great Jujutsus known to mankind. The trademark of the Uchiha clan and their members. It's said that the Sharingan's predecessor was the Rinnegan, as legends say that Uchiha members are descendant of the Sage of 6 Paths himself. These eyes are blood red with 1 to 3 black tomos, depending on how matured the eye is, around the pupil. The Sharingan houses many powers, the ability to copy any type of taijutsu, ninjutsu or genjutsu, the ability to see chakra, the ability to predict the enemy's movements, and the ability to induce the enemy into a genjutsu with a small glance. However, some say there is another level to it. Some speak of the legendary Manjikyu Sharingan. No much is known about this level or how to achieve it. Only 2 members ever achieved this level, Uchiha Madara and his little brother Uchiha Izuna. With those eyes, Uchiha Madara was able to fight Senju Hashirama, the leader of the Senju clan, wielder of the Mokuton, to a standstill. Naruto continued looking down through the scroll that showed how to use the Sharingan and some other low-level techniques to use with them. He finally reached the end of the scroll and found one last jutsu with several warnings. Izanagi, S-rank Kenjutsu. Izanagi is the ultimate genjutsu of Uchiha clan. When cast, the user removes the boundaries between reality and illusion within their personal space. To a certain degree, this allows the user to control their own state of existence, but it is normally only active for the briefest of moments. While the user remains physically real while fighting, this technique is capable of turning any occurrence, including injuries and even death inflicted upon them, while the technique is active, into mere illusions. Whenever the user receives a fatal injury, he or she automatically fades away as though they were an illusion all along and then returns back to reality, physically real and unscathed. This technique is based on the creation of all things technique used by our ancestor, the Sage of the 6 Paths. The process involves the administration of imagination, the spiritual energy which forms the basis of yin energy to create shape and form from nothingness. Then, through the application of vitality, the physical energy which forms the basis of yang energy, the sage would breathe life into the prior form. Thus, a technique with the power to turn imagination into reality was born, known as Izanagi. While this technique is much weaker than the creation of all things, it can be used by those of Uchiha blood with their Sharingan. However, it comes with a heavy price. In exchange for the brief control of reality that it allows them, the Sharingan with which Izanagi is cast becomes blind. For this reason our clan has labeled it a Kenjutsu. Naruto read this with his eyes widened. He already knew that his eyes were strong, but to be able to create form from nothing and breathe life into it. I assume that's how you were born? Naruto asked his partner, who nodded. The sage really was something else. Being able to create and give life is meant for gods, not mortals. Naruto thought to himself if he ever would be able to do the same thing with his Rinnegan. While the Uchihas would become blind due to not possessing the Rinnegan, theoretically Naruto would be able to use these techniques to the extreme without any type of backslash. I think we have everything, Hinata-chan, Naruto said, and she nodded, placing everything back in place. Hinata did one last scan around the compound as they were about to leave. Wait, Hinata called out as she seemed to find some type of storage underneath the Uchiha's main hall. There seems to some type of room beneath the main hall, Hinata called out, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Let's check it out, Naruto said, and both walked out the library and into the main hall. They quickly reached the main hall. Where's the entrance? Naruto asked to Hinata, who had her Byakugan blazing and searching the surroundings, analyzing that room's layout. I can't seem to find it. The whole area is shrouded in chakra, Hinata explained. Can you place us directly on top of the room? Naruto asked and Hinata nodded. They both walked into the main hall and stopped in the middle of the room. It's directly beneath us, Hinata said, pointing to the ground. How much further down? Naruto asked and Hinata estimated the length. About 5 meters, Hinata answered and Naruto nodded. Naruto hugged Hinata and used his kamui to sink underground until they reached the room. It took them only a couple of seconds until they touched the ground inside the room. Everything in the room was dark that even Naruto and Hinata could barely see with their dijitsus. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, great fireball technique, Naruto said and sent a very small fireball towards to nearby torches. He used it a couple more times until the whole room was lit. They looked around and the room had nothing more than a table with many chairs around it. He looked towards the other corner. In the middle of another small room was a single stone. The stone was surrounded by 2 torches, one in each side, and it appeared to be old, very old. Naruto still had his normal Sharingan activated from using his kamui and started reading the tablet. What are you doing? Hinata asked confused. That tablet is blank, Hinata said and Naruto raised an eyebrow. It seems that only the Sharingan can read it, Naruto replied as he could see the text perfectly and started reading. Congratulations on unlocking the Sharingan, my fellow descendant. The Sharingan, the Dijitsu of my eldest. With it, you are capable of many things. The base Sharingan has 3 levels. With 1 Tomo. Naruto read again what the Sharingan could do, until he reached the last section of the tablet. But there is more to the Sharingan. My eldest seems to have unlocked another stage to it. He called it, Manjikyu Sharingan. With it, his power is far greater than the standard Sharingan. With these new eyes that he unlocked, he's able to Sadrud's SDFSFWG QWGRTHYDSFSDFSDF. Naruto got confused as he suddenly couldn't read anymore. That part of the tablet seemed to be some random letters all scribbled together. Try using your Manjikyu to read it, Kurama suggested, and Naruto didn't have anything to lose. Naruto activated his Manjikyu and the random letters seemed to rearrange themselves to form coherent phrases and words. He's able to access powerful ninjutsus, and other types of illusions far greater than the ones provided by the standard Sharingan. With his new eyes he's also able to see better and with far more detail than before. According to him, he unlocked these eyes when he was sparring with my youngest. What can I say? Their training battles always seem to escalate and I'm the one who has to fix everything. I wrote this tablet at my eldest request. He wants to leave something of him for his future descendants, but something that only his descendants can read. I also decided to leave, in this tablet, how it all began. It was a stadgraf state Yerweg. This again, Naruto thought to himself sighing. He decided to activate his Rinnegan to see if he could read it. Surprisingly enough, all the text in tablet became visible. It was a time of war. Mankind was constantly at war, endless bloodshed from all sides that seemed to stop at nothing. When someone thought that the war was over, it was still the beginning. My mother, Kagaya Otsutsuki, sought a way to end the war and all the pain and loss of life that came from it. In our home there was a tree. It was a tree of such magnificence and magnitude that some considered it to be a god. This god tree easily outshone mountains in terms on height, it would never lose any leaves or seem to grow old and wither. According to the scrolls, the god tree has always been there and our records go back thousands of years. According to the scrolls, every millennium this tree would generate a small fruit. While the scrolls clearly said that it was forbidden to eat it, my mother was desperate with the war looming outside of her lands. She decided to consume this forbidden fruit of the god tree. With it, she became able to manipulate chakra and allowed her to single-handedly end the war that seemed to plague the lands. Years passed and the flame of war never once ignited again. Then I, Hagoromo Otsutsuki, was born. I inherited the same type of power my mother possessed, and along with it, I received my Dojutsu, which I called Rinnegan. The years passed and I grew older. But, as time passed, the God Tree's desire to reclaim its power also rose. The God Tree decided to strike against my mother in order to reclaim its lost power. That was what people would later on call the Jubi. It was a gruesome battle, but in the end, I was able to seal him inside of me, temporarily defeating it. When I reached my last years, I knew that once I died, the Jubi would be set free, and I couldn't allow that to happen. I split the Jubi's chakra into 9 vessels: Shikaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Son Goku, Kokuo, Saiken, Chomei, Gyuki, and finally Kurama. Once I was finished, I sealed the Jubi's shell in the moon, which I created with my creation of all things. If you are reading this, then you also bear the Rinnegan. Take it as final wish from me. If there is still war, then find a way to stop it. I may not have grown with war, but I felt its effects during my travels. War brings nothing but death, pain and suffering to both sides. It's a never-ending cycle of hatred. Good luck, my fellow descendant. Naruto stood silent for a few seconds, taking in everything he read. He now knew everything: how it began, why it began, and the sage's final wish. If there is peace, then I'll find it. I'm not gonna run away, and I never go back on my word. That is my ninja way. I promise you, old man, Naruto said, getting up with his Rinnegan blazing. Did you know all of this, Kurama? Naruto asked his partner, who was silent. I never knew. The old man never told us how it began, and he was always cryptic with his words, Kurama replied, and Naruto nodded. I have everything I need, Naruto said, placing a hand on Hinata's shoulder. Let's go home, Naruto said, and they both disappeared in a flash. Naruto now knew what he wanted to do, what he needed to do, his goal in his life. He would bring peace to his war-plagued world. He would break the chains of hatred and lead to the world to true peace like his predecessor had wanted. Time skip 6 months. 6 months had gone by and Naruto threw himself into training even harder than before. Both Hinata, Gaara and Jiraiya had asked him what had happened when he read that tablet. Naruto just replied that he knew everything and that he found his goal in life and he would leave it at that. While the Sharingan's powers seemed to be awakened during time of high stress, the Rinnegan was extremely different. The Rinnegan's powers seemed to come naturally to Naruto, like walking or breathing. That's the reason why Naruto could already use all of his 6 paths. When he discovered his animal path and summoned a large creature, Kurama fainted in his mind, thinking Naruto had summoned the Geto Mazo from the moon. Poor fox. After the whole event of the summoning, Kurama decided to warn Naruto so he didn't accidentally summon it. Kurama explained to him that some things are best left alone and not be tampered with. In the first week, Naruto learned his gravity manipulation and learned how to use his Deva path. The next week he discovered the animal path. During a spar with Jiraiya he discovered his Preta path. 1 month later he discovered his Azura path, and, another week later, he learned human path. During a mission he learned the last of his paths, the Naraka path, or so he thought. During the mission an innocent victim was killed because Naruto didn't reach him in time. Naruto didn't know what came to him, he just started going through hand seals automatically, as if he had already known them. Naruto unlocked his 7th and final ability, the Outer Path. The Outer Path gave Naruto control over life and death. With it, Naruto could bring back anyone that had died, and he also learned of a new technique he could use. He finally understood why the sage was called the Sage of the 6 Paths. Naruto could create 6 paths, 6 clones or bodies, and each one could use one of the paths. Naruto discovered the metal which his fan was made of when, he himself, had created the same material. The material seemed like steel and yet was stronger and lighter. Naruto thought he had already mastered all of his paths and began training in the last thing he could think of, Yin and Yang releases and their last form Yin-Yang release. Do you think it's wise? Jiraiya said to Naruto regarding what he was about to do. These things are reserved for gods, Naruto, Jiraiya warned. What is a god, Jiraiya-sensei? Naruto asked, and Jiraiya was thrown back by his question. If a god is someone that can live forever, then I'm a god. If a god is someone that knows everything, then I can be a god. If it is someone who can be anywhere, then I'm a god. And if it is someone who is all-powerful, then I am a god, because there is nothing I can't do, Naruto replied, looking at the sky. Naruto looked down at the ground in front of him. In the ground were 5 blood vials and a locket of someone's hair. You are not a god, Naruto, Jiraiya yelled at his godson. Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't matter. I can do this if I wish, it's my choice, Naruto replied. I know, I'm just trying to warn you that once you cross this line you can't go back. While you have this power, you must be responsible with it. This isn't some S-rank jutsu that you can throw around. You are dealing with life and death here. While I would like nothing more than to see them once again, you can't just be using it like nothing. Remember that there is a balance to be maintained. Jiraiya explained, and Naruto was locked deep in thought. I've made my choice, Naruto said, and Jiraiya stood silent. Maybe it's jealously of me, or maybe it is just necessary. I can think of 3 reasons as to why I should do this, Naruto said and gathered his thoughts. 1. Is to stop Orochimaru from bringing them back. 2. They all sacrificed their lives to protect our home, and 3. I made a promise to her a couple years ago, Naruto said. My dream is to become Hokage, Naruto said, and Jiraiya smiled, but, Naruto said, and Jiraiya listened, it's also to bring peace to this world. My ancestor died dreaming that the world his mother created would last, Naruto explained and started looking at the sky again. Look around, Naruto started. Suna is at Konoha's throats because of what happened back during the invasion. Iwa is still revengeful because of the Third Shinobi War. War is a never-ending cycle of hatred, and I will be the one to break it. If there is such thing called peace, I'll be the one to achieve it. I won't back down and I won't give up, because that's my ninja way, Naruto said, and both Hinata and Gaara smiled at his words. Those words. Jiraiya thought to himself, remembering the first book he ever wrote. If I can't find the answer to peace, then maybe I'll entrust it to you, Jiraiya said, ruffling Naruto's hair. Let's do it, Jiraiya said, and Naruto nodded, crouching on the floor and picking up the first blood vial. Onmyoton, Banbutsu Sozo, Yin-Yang release, creation of all things, Naruto said, and started concentrating of the blood inside the vial. The vial started levitating between Naruto's hands. Naruto's chakra flared and his eyes glowed. The glass vial was instantly vaporized, leaving only the blood bloating in the air. Naruto's hair was flapping wildly as he began to work on his technique. The blood seemed to stay still until it began to become agitated. All of the blood seemed to compact into a small brownish ball with small indentations. Naruto started spreading his hands. The small balls started glowing and expanding. Everything around Naruto sparkled with life. Grass and trees grew from the ground, flowers blossomed. Naruto was radiating life all around him. 2. Incredible, Hinata said, amazed to what Naruto was doing. Naruto was creating life out of nothing. The grass never looked so green as the flowers more beautiful. This was the work of a god. The ball was getting bigger and bigger and was showing 5 protuberances from it. Naruto kept focusing on it. He was calm and relaxed. Naruto barely felt his chakra getting spent. Kurama and Shikaku just watched in fascination the true power of the Rinnegan. It was the first time they were experiencing the Yin-Yang release, and it felt wonderful. The 2 upper protuberances expanded outwards, reaching beyond half a meter. The two lower protuberances continued extending further, reaching 1 meter. At the end of these protuberances 5 small other ones started growing out. These small protuberances were in fact fingers and the larger ones arms and legs. The last protuberance seemed rounder and sturdier and was in fact a head. Naruto continued his jutsu and everyone watched in fascination as Naruto was creating a human body out of nothing. The previous blood was just a map, so Naruto knew what skin color to choose, if he was tall or short and if he was a he to begin with. The procedure started slowing down as the skin started taking a light tone. Small mounds of flesh started growing out in the middle of chest, indicating that this one was female. Hair started growing out of her head until it reached her waistline. It suddenly turned into fiery red hair. The process slowed down even more and everyone could see a woman lying on the grass. She had a slender, but feminine build, fair skin, fiery red hair. She was Senju Kushina, Naruto's mother, and she was back. The process ended and her body started breathing suddenly. Naruto stood up to admire his handiwork. In front of him was his mother, almost back to life. Almost, because, while he had created her body, he still needed her soul. Summoning jutsu, soul retrieval, Naruto said, going through hand seals. This technique was a variation of the Edo Tensei. This technique would retrieve any soul from the pure world and implant it in a vessel of Naruto's choosing. Naruto could easily control souls with his human path due to the Rinnegan. Naruto caught the soul and slowly pushed it inside of Kushina's body. Kushina took a very deep breath and went back to her normal breathing. Kushina started stirring and slowly opened her eyes to show her ocean deep blue eyes like Naruto. "Welcome back, Ka-san, mother," Naruto said, helping her sat up and adjust to her surroundings and new body. "Naruto?" Kushina asked, looking at the blonde in front of her. She looked around to see the pervert, Naruto's girlfriend Hinata, and an unknown redhead. "Where am I?" Kushina asked. "Easy, I brought you back. You need time to adjust to this body," Naruto said, helping her get to her feet. "I fulfilled my promise," Naruto said, giving her a thumbs up. "I promise I'll find a way to make our family whole again." Kushina smiled as she remembered back when she was summoned via the Edo Tensei. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," Kushina said, hugging him and letting a few tears drop from her face. Naruto just hugged his mother, glad to have her back for real. "There are a few other I need to bring back. Why don't you sit and watch?" Naruto said, and Kushina nodded, sitting down and watching Naruto pick up the hair sample. On Myoton, Banbutsu Sozo, Inyang release, creation of all things, Naruto said, and Kushina's jaw dropped when she saw Naruto's eyes. It was the Rinnegan. Naruto went through the same procedure and it was another woman. This person had fair skin with dark long eggplant hair slightly past her waist and side bangs framing her face down to her shoulders. She looked almost like Hinata, and she was Hyuga Hana, Hinata's mother. "Where am I?" Hana asked as she woke up. Naruto helped her get up and handed her to Hinata, who was fighting back tears. "Keikaka-san, mother," Hinata said, stuttering, barely containing her tears. Hinata had suffered so much since her mother passed away after giving birth to Hanabi. "Hina-chan," Hana said, looking at the girl, no, woman in front of her. She felt like looking at a mirror. The woman in front of her reminded her of her daughter Hinata. "Is that you?" Hana asked, and Hinata nodded, jumping and hugging her mother fiercely. "How am I alive?" Hana asked, confused, and Hinata sat her down and started explaining everything that happened since she died. Naruto went through the same procedure and brought back the rest of his family, Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama, and also Uzumaki Mito. Now was the time for last member of his family, his father Namikaze Minato. Naruto created his body and let him on the ground. Creating his body was easy compared to where his soul was. Naruto had created a way to retrieve his soul, but it would only work for Rinnegan users. Snake boar ram rabbit dog rat bird horse snake, shiki fujin, dead demon consuming seal, Naruto said, clapping his hands and summoning the death god where his father's soul was. Naruto turned around to face the death god. Naruto used his human path and introduced his hand inside the Shinigami's stomach and removed the single soul that resided there. The soul of his father was now free of the death god's clutches. Naruto ended the jutsu and introduced the soul into his father's vessel. Minato took a deep breath and groggily opened his eyes. "FFA father?" Minato asked, staring at the person in front of him. "That's just creepy, my father thinking I'm his father," Naruto thought to himself. "Welcome back to-san, father," Naruto said, and Minato's eyes widened. Naruto," Minato said, shocked, looking at man in front of him. If he really was Naruto, then he did grow up some since the last time he saw him. "It's me, old man," Naruto said, chuckling. "Come," Naruto said, and helped Minato into his feet. "I'll explain everything," Naruto said, and everyone went back to the hotel for some long overdue explanations. With their help, I'll achieve true peace, Naruto thought as he also walked inside. Man. Tsunade is going to have some rough time when they come home. That is all for this video. See you next time.